Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest platform for entrepreneurs. I'm Sunanda Jayasheelan, kick-starting this season of call-in show where we get you, the SME, MSME and startup entrepreneur to send in your questions, bringing in India's sharpest minds to answer your questions. How do you send us your questions? How do you get experts to answer those queries? All of that will be answered at the end of the show. For the moment, let me dive right in and introduce our experts who are joining us tonight on Leaders of Tomorrow Connect. First up, I have Deepak Mohan. He's partner Trifecta Capital. We also have Subodh Garg. He is CFO and Growth Leader at Pickrr. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on this debut of the call-in where we're getting SMEs, MSMEs, entrepreneurs, startups, people who want to become entrepreneurs sometime in the future, sending us their questions. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer their queries today. Let's dive right in and get our first query. This is a video soundbite that's come to us from a brand that is making waves, Zuka. They're in the vegan leather space. And we have a question that's coming to us from Disha Singh. Let's listen.
Hi, I'm Disha Singh, founder of Zoo, D2C brand, which makes 100% vegan and proudly Indian handmade products. We want to take our products international, and I want to understand what are the different government schemes that we can take benefit from when we are taking our products from India to abroad.
Subodh, not specifically for this sector because the sector that you're in and the sector that Disha is in, they're very different sectors, but purely from an entrepreneurial point of view. What is the level of engagement or involvement or support or handholding that you'd love to see from the government? And in fact, maybe we should ask you to very briefly introduce the business that you're in, introduce Pickrr, and also help Disha really understand what is the level of engagement of the government in your industry, in your sector, and what more perhaps you'd like to say.
First of all, whatever business we are into, we should be confident of the concept and the product what we are making. And government schemes are definitely helpful, but those are helpful sometime in short term, sometime in long term. But definitely, none of the startup is based on that entirely on government scheme. But as far as here the supply schemes are concerned, definitely I have. I would guide you that if you go to DGFC site, which is Director General of Foreign Trade, and wherein they are keep on coming with a lot of new schemes, as well as RBI is coming up schemes like wherein they are giving interest waiver on the loan, as well as GST schemes are there wherein GST is not applicable or you can get refund on GST while you export some sort of stuff. And apart from that, UP government has its own council of export, wherein they are providing. I'm not very sure that which place you are into, but if you are into UP, then the state government has a lot of export promotion scheme. And these days, government has introduced agriculture and processed food export scheme. So wherein they are giving you a lot of exemptions on the taxation, on expenses, on duties while you export from India. And moreover, there is Export Promotion Council. So that is again promoting every type of export. But one more thing I just want to add out of my previous experience that while you export anything, then it's not important that what Indian government is having a scheme. It is more important to know that the country in which you are doing export, what are the schemes applicable over there? Because as you said that it's vegan. So in case of vegan, every country has its own definition. Globally, that definition has not been accepted so far. Be extra cautious while you are dealing into vegan product and that too into export, because these two are very, very, I mean, not defined as such.
Okay, so that's a very detailed answer, Subodh. Disha, I trust that answers the question that you had, and all the very best, Disha, for Zook and for your journey ahead. Let's quickly take in our next question. This is coming to us on social media. Namita Earl has tweeted at us. She says, my name is Namita. I have my own telemarketing firm in the healthcare space. My question is that I'm a new mother. I have traditionally only had insurance policies as investments, but would like to know what all I need by way of investments that I need to start making for my newborn son till he's about 15 years of age. Deepak, could I come to you on this one?
Yes, would love to answer this question. So while at Trifecta Capital, I am actually managing treasury for a lot of startups across the ecosystem. If I were to sort of give my views and answers, so while insurance is important, and that's something which people at different ages need to ensure from ensuring that their dependents are secure if there is an unforeseen event which happens. But if you look at from a newborn's perspective, you are obviously
Yeah,
building a corpus for a long term, right? So the whole thought process is that once the child grows and becomes 15, 18 years old, there is a lot of expense which will come into play for education, especially, which is very expensive today.
yeah,
So for that, the ideal situation is to invest in asset classes which at least beat inflation, right? So in today's time, inflation is sitting at around 5%, and if you put money in a bank FD, for example, or even a simple debt mutual fund, you are going to mirror the returns, and returns will mirror what inflation is today. So the logical asset
sure.
class from a long-term perspective, where compounding comes into play, would be equity mutual funds, right? So there
Okay.
again, if she can look at putting money in a diversified mid cap, diversified large cap, or a multi cap fund over a period of 15 years, which we've seen historically, equity compounding at say 12 to 15% return, that is where the corpus will be really meaningful with a 15-year time horizon for her to use that money when there is actual need for education of her child. So and again, what the route to follow would be, is assuming salaried and she has a monthly income. If she puts aside of that which is comfortable to her in her child's name by opening a minor account, that also takes care of the rupee cost averaging, which is you're not timing
Okay.
the markets over a period of time. You are able to get in at various levels, and that helps you to average your cost of buying.
All right, Namita, trust that answers your question and all the very best for the next 15, 20 years. It's a long journey for your newborn son. Let's take in our next question that's coming to us from Mukesh Maheshwari of Ercon. He says, if big private corporates are not making payments or are delaying payments, what's the quickest means for an MSME to get it released through some legal procedure or through government mediation or any other forms of relief really available to small industries?
I would suggest two things over here. One is that, first of all, you have to see whether the amount has been stuck because of some disputed cases, or it is a willful omission of the thing that the big
Okay,
corporate don't want to pay. So if it's a
sure.
dispute, I would suggest that being MSME, have to focus on your business. So just settle it out with the big corporate. Don't go into legal hassles because they have
Okay,
really large hands while you are the smaller one. So I would suggest that if it's resolve the dispute outside, and if it's like
sure.
it look like that they are not giving willfully, then definitely there are a lot of things we can do. First of all, we have to go with the contract which you are having with the large corporates, because sometimes we work without any contract or the agreement in place. So then I don't think anybody can help you. But yes, if you are
Sure.
having contracts or agreement in place, then there are a lot of government schemes where you can go and apply. Like one of the scheme is MSc, Medium Small and Enterprise Facilitation Council. So it is governed by the MSMED Act. So MSMED Act is like
Sure.
wherein what they are doing, they are you can file your online application over there, and after a certain period of time that application would be heard. And if you think that that application is not being heard, then there is another MSME Samadhan portal. You can even go over there,
Mhm.
and it's Samadhan portal. that application is going
Sure.
to the ministry as well as the central council and the MSc ministry. So
Sure.
it is going all three
Sure.
places together.
Gentlemen, I have to take a quick break. We're back in just a moment. Just stay tuned. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow Connect, taking in live for the first time here on the Leaders of Tomorrow questions from you, the entrepreneur, and getting experts to answer them here on the show. Okay, let me quickly, in the interest of time, jump right in and take our next question. This one is coming to us on our Facebook page from Raylan Peters. He says he runs travel agencies and employs close to 100 people. The pandemic has hurt his business and finances very badly. He says he's been unable to pay salaries for many months now. His question: I don't know if I'll be in a position to pay salaries for the next few months till the third wave settles, and I certainly can't pay backdated dues, is what he means. What are my options? Deepak, to you first, maybe, and then Subodh, if you have anything to add.
Yes, so I think this is a problem which the pandemic has, created for a lot of companies, right? Be it startups, be it small size, where they are struggling to pay, salaries of employees. So I think, while from an obligation standpoint, companies have a lot of other obligations first to, adhere to. So, for example, if a company has borrowed debt, right, that becomes an obligation before paying salaries. But at the same time, if you are consistently going to delay salaries, obviously there is a case of employees leaving you, and that is going to create a dent from the effort
Sure.
which you've taken on hiring. And then there are, especially medium-sized and small SMEs who have a lot of worker category employees. So I think that is
Sure.
where the salary becomes that much more critical to pay. If it is mid-level management or senior level management, they can understand what is happening. But I think the obligation of the company first to at least take care of the worker category, if I may call that. But from a liability standpoint, if the business is overall struggling, there are other liabilities, and I'm sure Subodh, will be able to touch upon that a little more in detail, which take
Sure.
precedence to actually paying employee salaries.
Subodh?
Yes. So this is a question which we all faced. I mean, this is the actual situation which we all faced
Yeah.
since last March. So
Sure.
just to shorten the answer, I would say first of all, we would go and whether we have some sort of agreement with the employees or not. So in case we don't have any agreement with the employees to stop the salary or to cut the salary, then we may be in a very big chaos. Reason being that entire liability of the past, because you can't run away with the employee liability at any point of time till the time you don't have agreement with the employees. So first of all, I would advise that go and have a word with your employees and uh, put up some agreement in place that okay, this is the amount and we will settle it into this much, because otherwise without this any labor law, any labor court can't do anything till the time employees are not agreed to what you are going to pay.
All right. I know it's a tough situation, Raylan. So all the best to you, and I trust that the answer by both our experts today has helped you get some clarity. Let's quickly take our next question from Aditya Goenka of Wherewell Group, Guwahati. He says, "How can the David beat the Goliath, who is muscle power, money power, and economies of scale?"
Yes, so the way I would first like to start is that before David became David, he was Goliath, right? So somewhere every company who has grown big has seen it the hard way and has taken it from scratch. So I think the whole logic and concept of smaller company taking on a bigger company has, I think, remained consistent, right? So if I were to just put 3 or 4 points of what should that be, things which a smaller company aspires to build, it's firstly to do with the vision, right? So what is the vision and what is
Yeah.
the difference which you are trying to make with the company, or the thought process which you are running
Sure.
the company with. Second is obviously the grind and the vision of the founders. So I think both of these are equally important. And that is what we as investors also look at, right? We give a lot of relevance to the founder's thought process, his understanding of what he's trying to create a difference with, and obviously the grind which is needed to be put in the first 2 to to actually set up the business from scratch. So I think if you're able to have the right vision and have the right thought process to build out that vision over a long period of time and be able to grind it initially to set up the foundation, I think every Goliath can aspire to be a David over a period of time.
Malcolm Gladwell, in fact, has done a very interesting, and he speaks rather often about this since an interesting perspective. But Subodh, very quickly to you as well.
Yeah, I would just say that while Goliath has muscle power, money power, and economy of scale, David has innovation in the mind. He was quick, he was agile, and he was thinking out of the box. So these are the four things.
All right. With that, we come to our last question. This is a video soundbite. Let's listen.
Hello, I'm Vedanti Godbole and I have a startup related to mental health and yoga. My question is, how can we start approaching investors? And also, are there any particular types of investors that we should look for? With this, how can a startup like mine get benefited from the government schemes which are available currently?
Open to both of you. Subodh, to you first, if you want to take this on.
Yeah, although this is the favorite subject of my fan, but yeah, in fact, in this question, I would say that, as I said earlier, that from government scheme point of view, there are a couple of government schemes. This is that startup.gov.in, wherein you can go and you can search for the scheme if there is anything which is existing for this yoga sector. But one thing I can say for sure that yoga as the logistic, yoga was also a very unorganized sector, and from unorganized, government is making all efforts to make it organized by way of spending a lot in R&D by making Ministry of Ayush, who is managing that entire show, as well as so first of all, before launching any scheme, it is very important to organize a sector. Otherwise, that scheme would be of no use. So from that perspective, I am saying that it's specific to yoga, I don't think there is any scheme. But yeah, from a startup point of view, there are a lot of schemes which are available on the site. You can just go and read, and I leave it to my friend that he will say that how she can approach to the investors.
Okay, Deepak.
So again, I think approach to investors, it's a matter of timing it correctly, right? So you don't want to approach investors too early in the life stage of you setting up the company. So if in this particular case it is yoga and mental health, and there are a lot of such businesses or apps or similar kind of companies which exist. So I think what she will need to do initially is that find out how is she different from the rest of what is available, from a health and wellness perspective, and understand the market which she wants to cater to. And then obviously take it from a proof of concept perspective by getting in a certain number of client base to come on and use the app or to use the platform which she's building. Post that, once you are able to create that slight differentiation from competition and also be able to show proof of concept over a period of say maybe 6 months to 1 year by using your maybe own capital to get started, and by grinding and understanding the market, that could be the right time to approach investors, because initially every company needs to show their own ability to take it up to a certain level of scale. That is when investors will also understand that you put in that initial hard work and effort, and this is the right time to come in and invest in that business. And second, what is more important is the kind of pitch book or the forward-looking plan which the company has in terms of what they want to do specifically in the next 2 to 3 years. So having a business plan is as critical to go to investors and try to get them to see the value which you're going to build over a period of time with their money.
All right. So with that, we've run out of time. Thank you very much to our viewers who sent in these queries. How do you send in your queries? To get experts like Subodh, like Deepak to answer them, do stay tuned. Our contact details coming up on our screens as we speak. Deepak, Subodh, thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.